Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. And, I am so thrilled about, first of all, a powerful lineup we have today. And I'm always amazed at what we're going to talk about. Today, it is so great that Kornelia Stephanie is joining me here today. Wake Up to Love, your call to action, global galactic actions for a new earth. But today's show is the feminine face of God, Christ Source. And I love this topic. Now, it's interesting that these shows get planned like way, get planned in advance. So it's not like we wake up and we say, what's going on in the world? Or that I look at, some of the ladies that I mentor and I say, what's going on? Or relationships. Things come together in a way that only they are meant to come together. And Kornelia is going to talk about that today as well. But for those of you that know who she is, amazing is an understatement. She is somebody that teaches all of us how to embrace our multidimensional selves. How do we consciously create reality in expansive ways? Fabulous hit show. Kornelia Stephanie Show, boom, Wake Up to Love, your call to action, global galactic actions for a new earth. Why? Because, as someone once said, faith without works is dead. And what that means is intention without action, that just stays in our minds. Kornelia, welcome today. I mean, this topic is more than timely. But it's also something you and I were talking about during the break. This is so relevant in the dynamics of life today that it is a big conversation to support the feminine face of God as it shows up in front of us as we speak, right? Welcome.
Thank you, Pat. Absolutely. And isn't it just synchronistically always how it happens in the universe, where when we enter into our life experience as the experiencer that we all are, to enter any authentic experience, we have to be able to completely be surrendered to that experience to be our authentic self. Mm-hmm. And right now, what we're really being called to, and what Global Galactic Actions for a New Earth is, to be our true, organic, authentic self. And the topic of what is the feminine face of God, what is the feminine face of Christ, what is the feminine face of Source, that is a topic that we need to talk about more and more and more and shine the light on it, so that the people that are now ready to embrace that true call to be that feminine face of Christ, to be that feminine face of Source, to be that feminine face of God, have that, I don't want to necessarily call it a permission slip, but have that permission slip, because it's always the people that we associate with, who we look to, who we strive to reach higher. And that time is now for us to step and live in our authentic self. So what is the feminine face of God? The feminine face of God is genderless. It's an energy of unconditional love that can be found in the balanced expression of the masculine and feminine.
Right.
Because it's an unconditional love. And for us to emit, vibrate, take action in that vibration of unconditional love, it's a tough call because through our experiences, not everybody is going to be in harmony and in alignment with it. And a lot of people are falling out of our lives when we take that big step, right? When we take that big step, you know, when I was preparing for this show, because it takes a lot of courage, even for myself, to have this dialogue and have this conversation. Yet at the same time, I've been in preparation for this all of my lifetimes. And I've been in preparation most specifically in this lifetime. And it reminded me of a story about 20-something years ago when I was looking for God, and I was looking for Christ, and I was looking for that deep, intimate relationship with the beloved, with the divine. When I was looking, and I was going outside of myself, looking outside of myself, going to the churches, looking, and I couldn't find source. I couldn't find God. I couldn't find that relationship that I think that we're all yearning for, because humanity has that deep, deep desire. The collective has the deep desire to get intimate with this part of ourselves. And so when I was looking, it reminded me of a story when I was at this church, and they were putting on a play. And in the play, they asked for someone to play the part of Jesus. And none of the men that were in the church were coming up to audition for the play. And so
I know what you're saying. I had a very similar experience.
Right? So it's so interesting. So I applied to play the part, right?
Exactly. Right here.
Right? And guess what they said? They said, no, we're not, you can't play that part because you're a woman.
Right.
Because you're a woman. And so this is the reason, this is also so perfect why we're having this conversation. Right. Here I am finding myself 20-something years later now talking to you about the feminine face of Christ, the feminine face of God. And what does that mean? The feminine face of Source. Because when we look at our time period on this planet, never before has the feminine face been accepted in equality on this planet, because that time is now in our evolution where we're now being called to step into it. So it's not like, hello.
Oh boy. It is like, so we have to talk about this, because people talk about the feminine anything as, if you don't mind, weak, uninformed, powerless, helpless, and taking time. I do not know how to explain the dynamic globally of women coming out, speaking truth, and doing it despite what other people would say. I mean, if that's not Christ-like, I don't know what. Because remember, the Christ I know, and that consciousness of that is, the man that as a little child in Catholic school that I fell in love with, honestly, I was like 4, was the dude that ran in the temple sitting on a mule knocking over tables. But it is done in the spirit of love, right?
It is done in the spirit of love.
Has not a man face, not a woman's face. But it's powerful. Tell us how it's powerful.
It's powerful because it's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth, because anything else is a lie. Anything else has been the fabrication. Anything else is what we're releasing out of our suppressed emotional bodies, our physical bodies, where we hadn't been able to tell the truth, where we hadn't been able to speak our voice, where we were afraid that if we did, we would get fired from the job, we would lose the lover, we would lose the husband, we would lose the friends, we would lose the business. We would get killed at the stake. These are all of the cell memories in our physical body that we're releasing. And unconditional love takes so much courage to stand and be that energy, that energy, whether you're masculine or whether you're feminine, to be that energy of that unconditional love, because you have to risk unconditional love. You have to risk losing, taking action in the moment. It is what happens when you are staying true to what you value, staying true to what you honor, staying true to what's important to you. And you have to be able to risk letting go and letting other people make the choices that they're going to make, but you're staying true to your inner truth, to your inner knowing. And that's part of that feminine compassion that we have to have, is that fierce compassion. Mm-hmm. When you were talking a moment ago about the women taking time, and I see this also in a lot of men, is where men have perceived the feminine part of themselves as weak. Yeah. When that's really part of the healing that's taking place through our education, through that sacred feminine in us that's continuously loving, that's continuously holding that vibration, that's continuously emitting that vibration, so that the men, because it's also, part of our role to hold the masculine now so that he can move into his strong, heroic stance, into his strong, heroic energy, and support us. Because we're not just living on a planet with only women. We are living on a planet that has amazing fractals of source realizing itself, with beings that are now stepping into the truth of who they are. And so that's why I wanted to have this conversation today about unconditional love, about the feminine face of God, the feminine face of Christ. Yeah. And what unconditional love means, risking to lose without being attached to the outcome.
I think what you're talking about is so important in understanding the role of courage, right? Yeah. Courage is that word that we associate to people in the armed forces or the military or the services, but we haven't talked about the feminine courage movement. That's my name for it, the feminine courage movement, in decades. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what it means to live our values, to live our heaven on earth. And do we know what is the line that we draw in the sand that we will not cross in the spirit of truth?
Oh, yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Wow, everybody. Oh, I'm just like holding my head. Like my head is like so hot right now. Kornelia, Stephanie joining me here tonight. Listen, we got a lot to talk about. We may have to skip a break or something here. Before we get into talking about the sacred feminine, heaven on earth is here now, and talking about values, please, how can we find out more about you? How can we listen to your radio show? How can we work with you?
The way that you can find out more about me is go to korneliastephanie.com. And there's my website, there's products and services. I'm going to be talking a little bit more later on the show, some of the amazing creations that I've created, because I know that people are really asking for support right now. And I have various different things that I want to present to you all. So I'll share that a little bit later. But people can also go to KorneliaStephanieVIP.com, where I record high vibrational messages from source every single day to keep the vibrations high, because we know that we're being bombarded every single day by so much mind control, manipulation, attacks, and whatever else. And so from the comfort of your own home, people are able to listen to these messages that invites people into having a deep inner experience for themselves, and that they have a source that they can trust. That's part of the reason why I created that. But I'll tell you more about that in a little while.
Okay, because we need to know about it. And here's why. You and I mentor women.
Yeah.
I mentor women, not as a profession. It's my way of giving back to the ladies, right? I mentor them in a lot of ways, whether it's addiction and drug, or building a life, or whatever it is, homeless to not homeless. I love doing it. This show is to help at least the women I know and the women out in the world stand tall, despite what people may say about them telling their truth, isn't it? And it really brings us to the conversation about values, what we value, what we want to bring forth. But what is that part, that sacred feminine, that heaven on earth? What is it, and how can we help people stand in it, both men and women, right?
Absolutely. So I mentor a lot of women, but I also mentor a lot of men. And I just want to say this part because it's been important for me to embrace my own feminine, my own inner power. I'm around a lot of amazing masculine men, and through them, I'm able to balance my own inner feminine and see my own inner source. So that's helped me a lot. Now, what I want to say about what you were asking about, two things.
Yeah.
Is what is it that we can, how can we embrace that inner sacred feminine?
Yeah.
And I want to call her the fierce feminine. It's the fierce feminine. She has a sword, and she has a sword, and this sword is the sword of truth. And this sword is cutting away all of the illusion. And if you have seen the movie Wonder Woman, it is that sword, it is that woman that is standing in her authority with that sword, cutting away everything that is not true, everything that is a lie, everything that is no longer tolerable in her environment. So in her environment, that is going to start, first of all, in her own inner court, in her inner royal court. She has her sword and she's cleaning house. And there's going to be things, there's going to be people, there's going to be situations, whether it's in business relationships, whether it is in personal relationships, whether it is in family relationships. She's going to be there with her truth, and she has to have that fierce inner feminine to be able to stand strong and trust that what's coming from within her is her value, is her truth. And I want to stress this about this fierce feminine. Who is she? She is the goddess of the underworld that has lived for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, ancestral after ancestor after ancestor after ancestor. She is that energy that has never before been honored, been respected, been valued. And she's coming alive in all of us now. She's calling us to action because she's saying no more. She's saying no more to the abuse, to the trauma, to the wishy-washiness. She's saying no more to the backstabbing. She's saying no more to all the crap that has been going on. She's saying no more to the war. And it's tough because at the same time, while this inner feminine is standing there with her sword, she's also releasing her cell memory, her inner cell memory of having her feelings hurt, of feeling bad that she's not accepted. Yeah. It's also releasing those feelings, but it's happening for her. It's happening for her so that she can move into her truth, because we're taking this planet to a higher vibrational way of living and being, as would the Christ, as would Source, as is Source, as you are, as we are.
Yeah. You know, I want to talk about this because we were talking about the value and truth and integrity and speaking up and standing up. all of the above. And I was talking with someone before who said, it's not just about talking and coming forth about women. It's talking about coming forth and about speaking a truth to create a better world, a world from love, a world from integrity. But the job has to start with us.
Exactly.
You know, if we're part of a collusion of truth, or we're part of what did we talk about? A triangulation, or no, passive aggressive. Thank you.
Yeah.
Passive aggressive. I think that's what you said. I'm reminded of two things. Aside from Wonder Woman, famous quote in a courtroom, and the Tom Cruise, right, and the Jack Nicholson, a famous quote: "You can't handle the truth, but we must. We must be able to handle the truth," right?
The audio is going out. I can't hear you.
I said we must be able to handle the truth. Okay, let's, yeah.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We must be able to handle the truth.
You know, isn't that so interesting that just when you said that, the audio went out? This is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. But you know what? It bears to you saying it again. Could you say it again?
We must be able to handle the truth. And the energy that was coming forth towards me, you and I know this. When you got that energy that is coming forward, and it's not always in a big loud voice, but when you've got the energy of what's being called forth, we're lucky we didn't blow out the grid here with that. Exactly. But we have to stand together as women. And sometimes we think it's man against women. Let's not do that now. Let's just talk about the thing.
That's part of the divine feminine. That's part of the feminine face of God in the masculine, in the balanced expression of the masculine and feminine. It's part of the inclusion, not exclusion. We have to build bridges. We have to build bridges and invite people into dialogue. Help me understand. Help me see what this is about. At the same time, while we're standing there saying, this is not tolerable, do not talk to me this way, this is not okay with me. We have to have these fierce conversations, because before we went to the break, we were talking about values.
Yes.
So as women, are you living your values? Do you know what your core values are? Are you making choices, emotional decisions every single day based on your core value? One of my core values is to live in freedom, free from the matrix, free from the slavery program, free from the mind control manipulation program that has been going on for thousands and thousands of years, living off of the grid and building a new world that is more in our organic nature, in harmony with our nature, with our true nature. That's a core value for a lot of us that are now here, and we're making choices based on our freedom because we want to be free. It's part of the call to action, being free. Core value, unconditional love. We have to have unconditional love for ourselves first and foremost, and give that out to our brothers and sisters, the sons and daughters of this earth. This is our earth, and we're being called to action, to offer this vibration. And we know that love is messy. It's not all fluffy on the top, because that inner alchemy that has to take place. We're all alchemists, but we need to embrace our inner alchemy. We have to be able to transmute and release the old earth out of our physical body through the experiences that we have in our relationships, in our businesses, with our partners, with our family. We're all being asked now to let go of what is no longer serving us, so that we can move into the truth of who we are.
Well, and you know, one of the things that also is important for you and I to talk about, we're going to talk about it here. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take a journey and really talk about what the call to action is, because I know the work that you do is about a call to action. And now the call to action is, how do we live our values? How do we take this messiness or this, let's say, uncomfortable feeling
Yeah.
You know, this gnawing away at us that says, well, wait a minute, if I speak my truth, and maybe I speak it firmly, maybe I speak it fiercely. If I speak my truth fiercely, as Wonder Woman did do in that movie, if I do that and stand for what I believe, how can I gain a level of knowledge, comfort, and integrity to do it despite what people may think of me and not silence me? Let's take a short break. We're going to skip the next break because we've got a lot to talk about. Kornelia, Stephanie's in the house. We'll be right back.
Girl, beautiful and sweet. Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was.
Yeah, Benny, thank you. Thank you, Benny. Wow. I had no idea when I woke up this morning that I would be talking with Cornelia about this. And then the next show, which we just got the information on with Dr. Glenna, about uncomfortability, being uncomfortable, what that means. You two ladies don't even know each other, but you somehow telepathically got connected because, this venue is what the world is calling forth. Cornelia, one of the things that's important is we're going to give people a lot of information about how they can work with you, how they can be part of what you're building, what you're doing. But it does have to do with doing an excavation of our values, finding out what we really hold dear to us, and then not compromising with it. I studied the consequences of broken promises for 8 years. I wrote about it. I researched about it. I asked people what they felt was the number one obligation that others should provide them with, whether it's work and love. And the answer was respect. So here we are today, fast forward, talking about the sacred feminine, talking about our value system, and talking about what we clearly know is not negotiable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is part of the sacred walk. It's just not negotiable anymore to be disrespected, to be dishonored, to be devalued, to not be paid what we're worth, not to be honored, not to be listened to, not to be respected. It's just not tolerable. Not to continue on firing back, not to project energy out onto people, but to take responsibility for ourselves individually. It starts with us, like you said earlier. It begins with us. The world is an inside job. Peace is an inside job. Love is an inside job. Why? Because you are releasing the old world out of your physical body from past experiences that had been suppressed. And now we are aligning with the truth of who we are. And that is part of our sacred walk. And the before we go into the value piece a little bit more, to all the women that are listening to this and all the men that are listening to this, embrace the source, the original source essence that you are. Embrace that inner relationship that you have with the beloved as sacred. Make time for it every day. Make time for honoring that part within yourself. Deepen and strengthen the relationship that you have with the beloved. That is the most sacred relationship that you can have. And bring that relationship to all and everything that you relate with in your life. That is the sacred path. That is the compassionate feminine energy. That is the love. We're also talking about the fierce energy. We're talking about the fierce feminine. We're talking about the one, how hard it is right now for women to stand up. But my goodness, women are just so amazing. Women are the givers of life. We give birth. We are birthing this new world. We are resurrecting the new world. We are resurrecting the new feminine. And so that time is now. And so you were asking me a little while ago about how can people work with me.
Yeah.
So my inner fierce feminine who was with the sword, who said no more. First of all, I wrote my book called Peace, the Flip Side to Anger, how I used my emotions to heal my life, my body, and how you can too. And this book is a resource. It's an absolute resource for therapists, healers, life coaches, because it has so much in this book. It has how to process fears, how to process emotions, because without your emotions, without the basic emotional knowledge on what to do with your emotions, you're not taking responsibility for your own body. Learning how to process your emotions is a huge piece in the sacred feminine, because you have to be able to know how to grieve. You have to be able to know how to release. You have to be able to know how to let go and how to stand strong in your inner authority. And that is what's written in this book, because I talk about it, how peace is an inside job, and how the world has mirrored to us that inner prison that we're now releasing from within our being. So my book, you can get it on Amazon, and it's a wonderful resource that talks about how to release anger, how to release the lower emotional core wounding from your physical body. And people should use this book in relationship with their clients, because this will really help and even educate the children on their emotional stability and become emotionally wealthy. So that's a wonderful resource. The other thing, my inner feminine, my inner fierce feminine. So this is what I did first. I addressed the anger part within my own being, and then I wrote a book about it. And the second thing I did is I created Creative Light Vibration. And what it is, it's a daily inspirational messages, high vibration that I use to keep my vibration high. These are daily messages that I write, because I'm a writer, and I script, and I record audio recordings along with them. And so they are part of my membership portal. And then I invite the audience, my tribe, to engage with me through our experience. And part of what people can have to look forward to, I'll just read you some of the ones that we had in
yes, please.
Times. So, welcome October 2017, Living from the Inside Out. Ascended Living and Thriving for All. You are the creators. Act like it. Your call to action. Are you ready for a huge shift in consciousness? The words you speak become the house you live in. You're creating the new soul blueprint right here every day. The new earth value template. Quantum leaps, grounding in the light, stable, strong with passion. The new world is created, manifested based on how we feel. Where do you feel at peace, at home, in the groove? A new generation of women and men who are leading in their self-actualization. So these are just some of the dailies that I produce and put out there. And the other thing that is there's countless 3 years of data that people have access to raise their vibration. And basically, what they can do is, what is the meaning of faith? What is the meaning of prosperity? What is the meaning of self-love? What is the meaning of success? So these are weekly themes that each participant is invited to have an authentic experience to find out what faith means to them, what home means to them, what success means to them, what the flow of prosperity means to them. This is a monthly. They can subscribe for $10.99 per month, or they can subscribe for $107 for the year. So these are wonderful gifts to give yourself for 2018, to begin 2018 with having the heavy lifting pretty much all done for you, so that every morning you wake up, you build your strong spiritual practice, and you have a place where you can have me engage with you, calling you to action to live your core values.
Wow. one of the things I love about what we're talking about today and what you're sharing is, and I don't know if you know this or not, but what we've discovered right now and what we're looking at in the world is we're looking at what people are drawn to and how they're drawn to it. And one of the things that I notice people are drawn to are things like the lasso. Since we were talking about Wonder Woman, the truth telling lasso. There are more quotes out there right now that say, I wish I had the Wonder Woman lasso, right, to make people tell the truth. How important is truth telling? And what would you say to the ladies out there that have this secret within them and that are afraid to become truth telling warriors, right? Because that's part of integrity as well. And yet the world is calling forth this energy, right? Or do you think that's true though, Cornelia? Do you think that's true? The world is calling it forth?
Absolutely. We're being called to the truth. It's the only way to go forward. But there are different levels of truth, because there's the individual truth, then there's other truths to look at. But we're starting with you, the individual. And if truth is a core value of yours, my dear lady, I would say then be true to your core value, live your value, live your heaven on earth, be true to that value, speak your truth. And if you are afraid, face your fear and do it anyway. In my book, I talk about how to face fears, because fear is an illusion. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid that you're not going to be liked? Are you afraid that your lover is going to leave you? Are you afraid that people are not going to like you? Sit down and process those fears and get on with it and do it anyway, because we need your truth. We absolutely need that fierce feminine, that truth that's coming from you, because that's part of the anger. You've got to be angry inside that your truth isn't being accepted. So release that anger, because underneath that anger, there's a gold mine of truth waiting to be heard. And I cannot wait for you to share, you, the audience, the people, to share your truth with the world. This is everything that's happening out there right now is calling for truth. It's just going to keep exposing itself more and more and more. And if you're afraid, then learn how to process your fears. Another thing I would like to offer is I have a course, a 21-day e-course that I just created. It's called Keeper of the Garden, you being the keeper of the garden. It's an e-course that begins on December 1st, and then there's another one that begins on January 10th. And it's a 21-day meditative course where you discover what your gift is, and you discover that your peace within yourself. And through this course, what's going to happen is you're going to release your old emotions, your old negative emotions. What are your relationships triggering in you? You're going to, it's about gratitude. And so this is a course that people can have access to, and begins December 1 through December 21. And they can purchase one for themselves, or they can purchase one for a gift and make that a holiday gift for someone, because this is, and there's also going to be a group healing every 7 days. They can read all about it on my website. So go to KorneliaStephanie.com and look under shop and look under courses. And there is the course. It's called The Keeper of the Garden. It has so much value. It has so much value. It's so awesome, because it's going to help you create your own inner garden, how to be your own peace, how to be at peace within yourself, and raise your vibration on a daily basis.
Well, we've talked about quite a bit today. And I want to bring us, full circle almost, because you've shared so much. But in the end, what we're talking about is looking at, that face, the face that you and I are talking about. It's a fierce face, and sometimes it's a loving face. Sometimes it's a sad face. Sometimes it's a peaceful face. Sometimes, but in every instance, this heaven on earth is an authentic and genuine face. And that's what really we're talking about, to be able to find that level of authenticity within ourselves and show up as that despite what anybody else might think. And those are tough choices to make sometimes.
They are. And part of that, when you're talking about all the different faces, well, God is in everything.
Yeah.
Source is in everything. Even the part of you that's mad, and the part of you that's angry, and the part of you that's frustrated, even that part of you is part of Source, is part of Christ, is part of God, because it's all. We are all. It's everything. The best thing that we can do is embrace our humanity. Embrace our humanity. Accept your divinity. Accept that you are in the image and likeness of the most beautiful light, of the most beautiful source, of the most intimate, beautiful expression of the essence of Source. Accept that. And if you can accept that in your inner being and bring that being to all of your relationships, you're being the authentic model. You're being the authentic self that you're mirroring to other people. And those of you that are ready to really raise that vibration, to really step into your truth, make a vow to yourself that you will not dishonor yourself any longer, because that's part of the call. And that time is now. And we have to really stand strong. We have to stand together as a tribe, as a community, to shine our light. And that's why I'm offering all of the different tools. And I also have a retreat coming up on Saturday. I have a retreat coming up this Saturday. It's 2 days after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Here at all the locals out there that are here in town, that are local from the Seattle area, we still have room, and it's about our financial footprint, because we're going to trailblaze our economy in 2018. And so on Saturday, we're going to put our new financial footprint about increasing our wealth, first our inner wealth, but also our money. Money is our freedom. And we're going to be trailblazing our economy in 2018, because we must. And the time for that is now. We're birthing our new earth. We're birthing our new realities. We're birthing the sacred feminine. We're birthing and resurrecting new ways of living and being. So this retreat on Saturday is $75. You can go to my website, corneliastephanie.com, and look under retreats and click there and come and join us on Saturday. It's from 9 to 7. It's going to be a fantastic time. And right now, I think we have 10 people and we have room for you. So come join us as we collectively come together to activate our flow of prosperity in the coming year.
You know, there's something, I know we've got a few minutes left, but I would love to share this and have you commented on it as our personal message to people today. You know, we've talked about a lot, but Barbara DeAngelis put together a long quote that I think maybe sums up what you're talking about. And it's like this: living with integrity means not settling for less than what you know you deserve in your relationships, asking for what you want and need from others, speaking your truth, even though it could create conflict or tension, behaving in ways that are in harmony with your personal values, making choices based on what you believe and not on what others believe. Isn't that the work you do, Kornelia, to help others really bring that to action, though? Otherwise, It's words.
It's words, yeah. And you have to be able to bring your physical body into it. That's what it means in being the word. You have to be able to show up in your word, to be authentic, to be in integrity. This is my piece that I wrote about unconditional love in my tribal, when we were talking about what is the power of unconditional love. This is what I wrote. From Cornelia's perspective, unconditional love has to do with feeling empowered after taking action, love being the action, with no attachment or thought about the outcome. The empowerment comes from taking fearless action in the moment, choosing love over fear. The freedom comes from not being attached to what the person or persons choose to do after I've communicated my love, my boundaries, and what I value. Unconditional love risks losing everything with no attachment to the outcome. The golden nugget comes when having taken the action, not what the outcome will be. To enter any authentic experience, it's necessary to embrace your personal experience, to listen to what your inner teacher tells you and not what the world tells you. Your feelings are your nugget, your gold. When you get triggered, do not let it build up inside. Get the feelings out so the new light can come in. You're releasing ancient feelings that are no longer the truth of you. You practice unconditional love by applying the wisdom in the moment of the experience. What does applying or being unconditional love mean to you? How do you feel that you're applying unconditional love in your life?
That is beautiful. It's powerful. It's inspirational. And also it is a galactic call to action, as you do so very, very well. Thank you for bringing a very powerful conversation. And by the way, Kornelia, it's an invitation to people. You know, you're inviting people to really stand tall, regardless of what their circumstances are, and to be the people, be the person they were meant to be. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for sharing that. Please, how can we find out more? How can we get involved? How can we come to the retreat? All of the above.
Yes, come to the retreat by KorneliaStephanie.com. Under retreats, there's a tab there. You can email me at radio@KorneliaStephanie.com if you want to have a dialogue with me. You can purchase the Keeper of the Garden course, become your own keeper of your own heaven on earth. You can become part of my membership, my tribe, where there's decades of access of all kinds of fantastic values and services that you have available to you. And the other thing that I want to say with closing is that I am calling you out to your magnificent self. I'm calling in the maximum wonderful of all that we are, all that we can be. And may we have the courage to live and be our original, authentic essence of pure source self. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving. Many blessings to you. And I am so honored to know you and spend this time with you. Thank you so much.
Love you and thank you for what you do. Till next time.
You bet. We're going to take a short break, everyone. We're not done. Cornelia just like warming everybody up right here. We'll be right back.
Oh, I beg him, please sing him.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.